Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Tea and Biscuits. My name's Bizzle. The first things we need to be saying is hit that subscribe button. Watch the previous videos if you haven't already, because this is a bit of a journey we're going on and we're building a bit of a story. So, something happened on the last episode. It was misfiring and not really revving out very freely to start off with. Troy was looking at a few bits, he was a bit perplexed, but managed to pick up that in fact it was most likely the gap on the spark plugs was not correct. And he did that with a dwell setting on the ECU, which I think basically just pre-charges and charges the spark plugs a bit more, dumps a bit more current into the spark plugs, and ultimately that means that the gap is jumped a lot easier. Once it did that, you could hear the car just sounded differently. I don't think it really picked up on the camera, but it seemed to pick up a lot clearer, that it was revving so much harder and it just sounded so much rawer. And then that happened, didn't it? With the debrief with Troy afterwards, he picked up on a few other things as well. That the exhaust was maybe restricting it slightly. It does have quite a narrow restriction before the silencer, and that the injectors, I bought low impedance injectors and I needed high impedance injectors. So the easy things to fix are the spark plugs. They just need to be re-gapped. The gap needs to be brought down, so that's with a feeler gauge. Little tap with a hammer. I haven't done it since my go-karting days, where they were just nickel-plated spark plugs when I was a teenager. We just used to stick the feeler gauge in and give them a whack with a hammer. These are iridium-coated or iridium plugs, so they might be really hard, and therefore you might not be able to do that. We will see. And then the other thing which is easy, injectors. So a Firma Limited AF UK on eBay. They've been really supportive, so big shout out to them. They do loads of different electronics and car components. Check AF UK out on eBay. They've been really supportive with my injectors. This is the second set that I've returned because they haven't been correct. All of my own doing, nothing to do with them, and they've been really supportive. Being able to return these injectors for high impedance, 550cc injectors, thank you very much. Two difficult things. Clutch. We're going to come on to that. Exhaust. Well, I'm going to see what I can do, but I'm going to see if I can cut out the collector section, the 4:1 section, and just get that as a bigger pipe. So that's going to be cutting off the front of the silencer and probably doing something with the collector, the 4:1 collector, just to get that angle longer so it doesn't crush immediately after the 4:1, and then have a bigger pipe that goes into the silencer. Once it's in the silencer, who knows? And what happens at the end of the silencer, well, that might need a bigger pipe on the end of that as well. I also want to sort out the rivets on the back of the silencer because it keeps blowing off, and a quick inspection says that that's blown the rivets out. So the flames that you saw and the power is blowing a lot of air through, and the end can just can't take it. So I think I'm going to get some nuts welded in and kind of do that in a different way as well. Clutch, engine out job, innit? Can't avoid that. But what can of worms am I going to open once I get the engine out? What condition is the chassis going to be in? What kind of other little modifications am I going to want to do once I'm there? Never taken an engine out before? That's new for me. Never changed a clutch before? That's new to me. So you are genuinely coming on a journey with Bizzle through Tea and Biscuits. I think first thing is to tidy up though, isn't it? So we're going to tidy up. Let's do that. I'm good at tidying up. All done. All done.
So it looks like it wasn't the map that was on there that Northampton Motorsport were in the middle of working with. It looks like it was because the water temp sender was unplugged. I unplugged that, to be honest, and that was while I was measuring up for the engine hooks. So plugged that back in, immediately it started sounding better. I've just put the original map back on there, just left it on there, it's fine. Engine's now warmed up, so I'm going to jack it up, drain the oil off, and I can start disconnecting it, all the bits from the engine, and see if we can get the engine out. So, what's my current approach? Well, obviously I need to get the engine out, and there's lots of bits that connected. So it goes without saying that things like the radiator oil, which I've now drained, radiators, the water radiator is going to have to be drained, intercooler pipework can come off. Things like the AccuSump I'll probably disconnect as well. I'm going to keep all the supercharger and all the belts on if I can. Obviously there's some wiring that needs to come off. Probably disconnect the water pipes as close to the engine as I can, just to keep the engine as compact as possible. Cabling for the starter motor, so that will come off. Exhaust manifold as well, I'll take that off, which will be useful for me because I need to do some work on that anyway. To get to the bolts on the bell housing, once I start disconnecting all of this and pulling it out of the way, I'm hoping it's going to expose them a bit more. But ultimately, I'm also going to have to take all of the front suspension, that goddamn cross brace back off as well, that sussy bar, and I'm hoping that I can slide the engine forward a fair bit, up a little bit, mainly forward, and hopefully that's going to get it away. I need to brace the bell housing as well to make sure that I can get a good slide off, but hopefully I should have enough space to slide that off.
To what you need. I know the answer to what you need. I know the answer to what you need. I know the answer to what you need. I was gonna just get perfect. I know the answer to what you need.
Okay, that's good. So I've got the fuel line now looped round on itself. This is the fuel rail going round on itself as well. So that's the fuel disconnected. I think pretty much the water's disconnected. I'd like to use a little bit of persuasion and shock on these. I don't really know if that's the right thing. This feels the right thing to do. Right, that one's good. That one's good. That one's good. Just the two lower ones. Jesus Christ, that's on. Lost the edge. I'll give it another go. And I'm really starting to f up on that. Yes! Oh! That's I'm so chuffed. I did not want another issue with this manifold. So, How did I get that off? So I went from a multi-spline to just a 6-sided. Obviously I kept the same length, this is just a short one. I put it on beforehand, so I knew it was sitting square because the nut head was starting to round off and get some burrs, so if I was trying to put it on quickly it was not sitting square. So I put this one on first, heated it up, and then I could get the square ratchet in quickly and do it. I mean, obviously the speed wasn't there in the end, it was actually just me, you know, mechanically feeling it come loose, but oh my gosh. Panicking a bit there. The heat saves the day again. It's really tempted just to cut them, but if I cut them, then I'll have to replace the whole length because they're the right length. Maybe a little bit of heat again. Ah, they're hot.
Answer to what you need. I know the answer to what you need.
So here's one then. I'm assuming with the bell housing staying and the starter motor is attached to the bell housing, the flywheel is going to come off at the back of the engine, I think. Never done it before, don't know, but that's what I'm expecting. And the starter motor is on that side, and the big flywheel is not going to be able to get past the starter motor. So I'm going to have to take the starter motor off. Well, I'm taking the starter motor off. I'm doing it. I'm doing it as we speak. Well, I'll bolt the starter motor, don't. Oh, you coming? Oh, oh. Voila. Hit a snag. Always hit a snag. So that ram, that engine crane hoist, which I've borrowed, the ram on it, I think the seals aren't very well on it because it keeps bypassing and it. So I'm just going to have a think about what to do with that, see if I can find a leaky O-ring on it, replace the O-ring, see if I can fix that. In the meantime, what I've been is busy upstairs on the computer again, CAD'd up some engine hooks, hit print on the 3D printer. So I've got a pair of engine hooks now, which I'm just going to bolt up onto the engine, ready for... I'm not going to use plastic engine hooks, not to take an engine out. No, I'm not. So I'm just using these as a template. So it means I can check my pitches and my holes and make sure that I don't hit any kind of, bits on the side of the engine. Just give my chain some height so it gets up over the top of the cam. And then, yeah, shout out to a local fabricator of mine, ProSheet, Nigel at ProSheet. Thank you very much. Always accommodating. Who has given me, I had to pay for it, obviously, 4mm sheet. That's going to be easily strong enough to take the engine up. So basically going to use these templates, scribe round them, cut them out. Looks like ProSheet have got guillotines and I'm sure they've got laser cutters and stuff as well. What I've got is a hacksaw and this bad boy. Okay, got 2 brackets. Took an hour and 20 minutes or so, hour and 20 minutes. They don't look too bad. They're pretty good. I'm going to give these to Russ. If you've seen my previous episodes,
Russ has got his engine out for rage. These will fit his as well. So once I finish with these, I'll be going to Russ. Sort of drill the holes now. I'll get them wrong. Scrap pieces of metal, aren't they, really? Anyway, dot punch, small drill bit, large drill bit.
Real sound of business. 24.
I know that didn't seem like much progress this week, but there were so many things that weren't quite right. The engine didn't run right, which was a pain in the bum. Getting the exhaust manifold off was a pain in the bum. Also the problem of the engine hoist, having to fabricate the brackets for the engine hoist and the chains as well. There was just a lot of effort that went into this week, which didn't really kind of progress that much. But the engine is coming out next week, so please make sure that you tune in, you like, you share, you subscribe, because my name's Bizzle and this is Tea and Biscuits.